Good morning and welcome to the Pay It Forward podcast. As you know, Pay It Forward is all about connecting people, about sustainability, green practices, and well-being. So today thought we would talk about shipping because we would like to see the U.S. shipbuilding industry increased and to use innovative practices, green practices, and open trade between U.S. ports. Because as many people may not be aware, there is a law in effect called the Jones Act. And the Jones Act requires that shipping between two U.S. ports utilize vessels that are built, owned, and operated by Americans. Less than 1% of the world's ships are built in the United States. So because of this law, commerce is restricted in many areas. For instance, Mitchell, you've been to Puerto Rico before. Can you discuss how possibly the Jones Act affects commerce between the mainland and Puerto Rico?
Yeah, going to Puerto Rico, I would say, most of the product there actually come from Brazil and South America and Mexico. Like you said, the lack of cargo ships means the lack of opportunity, and that and supply and demand raises the price. So the cost of shipping something from the United States to Puerto Rico is twice as much. I think it hurts the people there because they're not able to trade with the mainland as much. So the industry there kind of are weakened. They have to do their own private shipping for the big industries there. So having a solution or a compromise for the Jones Act could, and I have been to other places, a place like Guam. There's, you look at Alaska, you look at Hawaii, they have the same problems in terms of needing to have a U.S. ship go port to port. Alan, for sake, you have an immense amount of experience in shipping in general. What's your opinion?
Well, basically through the years, I've run some small business that require getting material, getting machinery, getting merchandise or whatever between all the 48 or 50 states. So if it is within the 48 states, then the choice is either rail or truck. But I think if we add like a ship option, even within the 48 contiguous states, for example, like from Seattle, Washington to Oakland, California, if there's a regular ship route for merchandise that are not very urgent situation, this will kind of lower the cost and at least give more competition to the trucking. Mm-hmm. And also just, I think you can add other like unexpected tourism, so people can ride like maybe on a different deck from one state to another. So that's just my wish that I can see this. And actually, it's not rocket science. The U.S. actually has the best technology in terms of GPS, in terms of propulsion, material, and we have all the bright scientists that are different industries. So if we do some kind of shipping for the U.S. only, we can probably customize using technology and bright scientists or whatever infrastructure that we have. And again, we don't have to compete with other people because it's a big enough country that we should, have billions, if not trillions of trade using the new ships, either both cargo or tourism or other unexpected possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do know that prior to the Jones Act, the U.S. did build cargo ships, and we were one of the world leaders. But then when the Jones Act happened, most of the shipyards converted to building ships for the military. So currently, there's only a couple companies that build ships in the United States. One reason why we don't have any ships.
Right. I mean, the U.S. vessels that comply with the Jones Act dwindled from 2,300 vessels in 1946 to less than 100 today. And many of those are very old and very expensive to maintain. So it affects places like Puerto Rico, who rely on container ships often to get goods. And one of the worst parts about these older ships is bunker fuel. Mitchell, can you tell everyone what bunker fuel is?
Sure. I'll go explain to you. It's like when when you have like the oil, the crude oil, or any type of fuel. It's at the bottom of the barrel. It's the gummy stuff. It's the worst parts of it. And when they get out into the ocean, international waters to save money, they burn this stuff, and it pollutes more than I believe all the cars on the planet.
Mm.
And it's done in international waters. It's not policed. It's just part of their system of keeping costs down.
Yeah, I've heard that it's pitch black and thick as molasses. So can you imagine? And it, like you said, it's the dregs of the refining process.
Yeah.
So it's probably harmful. Is that true, Alan? I mean, it's harmful.
Yeah, because because these boats are or ships, they are meant to travel long distance around the world, and also there's no regulation because once you're outside like 100 miles, 200 miles, that's international water. So you cannot force people because there's no law or they can cheat. But if we do it using pay it forwards influence, even though we are traveling to international water, I think we'll do the right thing and either not use bunker fuel or we can filter or do something using technology. So this way we don't need to harm other human beings in the world. See, people think that when they're 200 miles off the coast, that if they do something bad to the air, that it will not affect, but then the wind blows around the world. So whatever happened in the middle of the ocean, somebody's going to get hurt by breathing the dirty air. Maybe a day later, maybe 2 days later.
Yeah.
But with the technology that we have, all it takes is some bright scientists get together. It may not cost that much more.
Mm-hmm. And I know in previous discussions we talked about them being smaller cargo ships in terms of the bigger ones because we are going from domestic port to domestic port.
Well, I'm thinking like FedEx. If you look at the FedEx fleet, obviously FedEx is strictly land, so they have tiny, like SUVs. Because when they deliver documents, they don't need a big truck. They just need like a small SUV, and then they deliver like 20 boxes of document, and then they go all the way to a triple trailer because they can have one driver that tows 3 big semis. So, but for the ship around, if we do shipbuilding around the 49 or 48 states or 50 states, we are not limited to just the big gigantic one, the Samsung or the big multi-billion-dollar vessels. Because those they are meant to travel long distance from Asia to Europe to the US. So we can have different combinations, even along the coast, like from maybe Arizona to Texas, or and anywhere there's either internal rivers or ocean. So if we have these available, then when the broker plays either a pallet or maybe a container or whatever, then they can look at what is availability. So it can be a small ship, can be a medium ship, can be a big ship, or can be a combination. Maybe it can go from Seattle, Washington to Oakland, California on a boat or ship, and then after that, then go on train, and after that, you can route different with the software. Basically, we can do that.
Mm-hmm. We're giving another variable to the logistics. We'll give people more opportunity, especially looking just back to Puerto Rico. Them having a route to New York and Miami and other ports like that could help grow that entire economy.
Right. Absolutely. Because I was reading some statistics and it says the average cost to ship a 20-foot container ship to Puerto Rico from the US is $3,500 versus $1,100 in the Dominican Republic or other nearby islands. And it's more economical for Hawaiian ranchers to transport cattle to Canada rather than wait for a Jones Act ship to take them to California. So, I mean, it's just mind-blowing that we're the United States and we don't have the capacity to, benefit all these places with lower costs, availability of goods. And I think building with new green, sustainable technologies is certainly worthwhile. And as you mentioned, Alan, it's not only just these big ports. Anywhere that there are 2 ports with waterways domestically could also help a great deal. What are some of the other technologies that you think we could be utilized on the container or the cargo ship?
Well, one thing that I'm thinking about is the green methanol. So methanol is a kind of interesting fuel that most people don't like talk about. Methanol, most of the methanol that you want to buy or order today are refined from natural gas or petroleum. So it's not a green or renewable product. And also it's not used typically for fuel because there's really no benefit yet, or there's no particular way that they engineer the methanol strictly for ship traveling, for example. Now with the green methanol, if you look at all the publications by university professors, it's proven that it's not that difficult to make green methanol. And the green or renewable methanol that I'm referring to is from organic waste, like all the dead trees around the country, all the unwanted agricultural byproducts. So let's say if you do soybean, I guess the husk or certain part is not edible. So they have to typically take it to a landfill or destroy it somehow. Same thing with rice, the rice husk. And there are a lot of vegetation, along the highway, of different states. When they trim these trees, they have to do something to it. So with the green methanol, what we can do, or Pay It Forward can come up with a program that can collect these unwanted byproducts around the country or even around the world. And then we can use those from a technology standpoint to convert it to renewable methanol. So if we do this, the only hard cost is probably labor or engineers and scientists. So once we get it going, then we get a limited supply of renewable or green methanol. And with the green methanol, now we can use pipelines, we can use trucks, we can use even ships to move from whatever port to another port. And if we use that for ship traveling, then you'll be 100% pollution free because we will not be burning anything. We are converting the methanol into electricity. The electricity will propel the ship. So,
wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah, I think the green methanol is a great technology. To add to that, I think the shipbuilding process in general. One thing about the Jones Act is you had people debating whether we should keep it or whether we should get rid of it. And our outlook on it is let's just build more cargo ships. So using modern technology to build these ships and methods to where we can be sustainable and efficient will allow us to have a fleet of ships that could be useful. And again, we haven't done that in a long time in this country. It was really focused on that. So it'd be cool to modernize that industry as well.
Well, actually, with the new robotic technology and also the material that new scientists can research, we are not at the disadvantage from a cost standpoint when we compare to building in other countries. As long as this, we're doing something kind of unique, then even if the ship costs slightly more, but then it provides other technology benefits, people will still buy it.
Yes, and I think that, as Mitchell said, there are people, pros and cons of why we should or should not keep the Jones Act, and a lot of it has to do with national security. I mean, that's when the law was put in place. But if the Jones Act is in place and we build our own ships, we increase jobs, we increase commerce, we become less dependent on other countries. So I think we should go back to doing more manufacturing in the U.S. and become a shipbuilding powerhouse again. Would help a lot of industries and people. And that's what Pay It Forward is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like gigantic shipment.
No.
Maybe 10 years ago, I got a referral from a travel company in Hawaii. So they have regular brochures that they want to print. But right now they have to source it from Canada, from Australia. I said, I can print it for you. And they said, we'd love to. But then after I print it in California, I have no way to get it to Hawaii in a cost-effective manner. Because the only way to ship, let's say if I do 100,000 brochures, the only way to ship it to Hawaii is by air. And that's too expensive because I can't find a cost-effective ship that can ship it. So it doesn't have to be whatever ship that we think in a big container. It can be normal stuff. It could be cookies. Yeah. Let's say I'm in Oregon, I have fantastic cookies that people want to enjoy around the country. So I can ship to all 48 states. But when it comes to Puerto Rico, Alaska, and Hawaii, the only way to ship is by air, and people cannot afford it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes complete sense. So, I mean, this is a great idea. What are some steps to making it a reality? Coming from Pay It Forward, it's the three of us here, but what do we need, our listeners and their friends and family to do?
Well, I would say the first thing to do is to build like a committee or get people interested in exploring this further. It's really not that complicated. We just need some kind of awareness. So let's say in addition to the three of us, let's imagine like we have 500 people that understand the dynamics of this. And then now we can figure a way to reach more people. So the first step is probably recruit professors and engineers or academic, because they probably have a lot of research already on green methanol, on ship, on GPS, all the radar, and then we just use the newest technology, guidance, whatever, combining with the military ship. Obviously not the cutting edge one but there's still a lot of things that we can pick from these industries. Yeah. The luxury yacht industry, I'm sure there are a lot of technology that we can copy. We don't have to make it beautiful or gold plated, but I'm sure there's new material, things that are stainless steel and so forth. So once we do it, then we can maybe raise some money using Pay It Forward to build a prototype. It could be like a 50-1 scale. Then we can move, a few things, just like FedEx, smaller cargo van instead of the semi. Then once we start booking this, then people look at new possibilities. Then it become like its own infrastructure. We can build small one, medium one, large ones.
Right. That's how FedEx started, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing is they can buy from Ford, GM, and a big freight company, but it's get the ship. You cannot order it yet, or at least the new technology one.
Yeah. But I remember when they first came out and it was like, wow, you could have something the next day or whatever, and look how it's grown. So imagine, like you were saying, a cookie shop owner or, a cattle rancher suddenly has this option, and, his market has just opened up to, all these other locations. I mean, how exciting would that be? And imagine the growth potential.
Yeah, just like crab, right? The Maryland crabs, you can now ship a load from Maryland all the way down to Florida by ship, by green ship. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's part of who we are paid for it. Is these ideas called the domino effect. We change one thing and hopefully we change a lot more. Just keep following.
Very true. Yes. Anything else that either one of you care to add about shipping or transportation in general?
I think there's potential in tourism because a while back I was in Boston and there's a call like a duck boat or something.
Oh, yes.
World War II thing. So we can go on land and water. So actually we can probably organize something. Maybe we can move some kind of Virginia beef to a different state, but also like decorate a deck for birthdays and so forth. And then in conjunction with helicopters, then we can create certain experience that people may not be able to accomplish.
Yeah. How many people have said they've ridden on a cargo ship or a container ship? And and then they would also be learning, about what went into the company, how it was built, what the green technologies are and the benefits. And and they will pay it forward by, telling people about their experience.
Yeah. And I'm excited about, bringing the other states and territories into our, local commerce and opening up doors for entrepreneurs on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, this trips, even though it's meant to get around the Jones Act, we might be able to sell to other countries. So people like American new products.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Guaranteed. Yeah. It can definitely scale and expand.
For sure. Well, I guess we'll conclude today's podcast on shipping, but we do plan to schedule additional podcasts on this topic, of course, because we do want to move it forward. And we'll look forward to maybe having a consultant or manufacturer join us to give us some of their professional insight. But until next time, thank you for joining us today. Again, keep paying it forward. Thank you, Mitchell. Thank you, Alan.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.